Good afternoon. Welcome in to the PowerMizzou.com postgame live show, live from the Holiday Inn in Sacramento, where we have just walked about a block from the Golden One Center, where the Missouri Tigers, for the first time in 13 years, are through to round two of the NCAA tournament, a 76-65 winner over Utah State in the third game of the tournament, I guess that would be. And a good day, certainly, for Mizzou as they managed to advance. Drew King is going to be along shortly. Before we bring Drew into the show, I do want to remind you guys, James Carlton knows a good thing when he sees it. He's going to get some bang for his buck because this Missouri season just keeps going on. And James has been the sponsor of our live shows during basketball season all year long. CarltonInsurance.net, 314-961-4800. You get in touch with James. You get an insurance quote. First of all, he's probably going to save you money. Second of all, even if he doesn't, if you get a quote from him and you mention Power Mizzou, he's going to donate $20 to the Power Mizzou arm of the Every True Tiger Foundation NIL Collective. We've also got a special thing going on our message board. People who joined up for the NCAA Tournament Challenge with ETTF donated $100 a piece. You can still sign up for the round two challenge because Missouri's still alive. So all those ways you can go through Power Mizzou and through James Carlton to help out Mizzou's NIL efforts. We are going to add in Drew King, not in the business center, but in the hotel bar, which does not open for an hour and 26 minutes. Right. Not that either one of us, Drew, is counting those minutes down by any stretch of the imagination, right?
Not at all.
God forbid. So, look, let's just start. There's only one place to start in this game for me. And I do want to invite you guys, comments, questions, put them up. Alex is behind the scenes. He's producing for us. He's going to just throw up your comments, questions throughout the broadcast. We will certainly react to them. So if you've got comments, throw them up. But, Drew, the place to start simply is this. Kobe Brown freaking legacy game. Like, I don't know how else to put it. That kid put his name forever in the record books of this program today.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it coming into the game, right? We thought that Utah State had good players. Mizzou has good players. Utah State doesn't have the star, right, that Mizzou does with Kobe Brown. And that showed up today because Mizzou was trailing in the second half, and Kobe is the one who brought them back almost single-handedly, right? And what was really funny to me was it wasn't in the way we thought it was going to be either, right? It wasn't a back to the basket, I'm going to bully you to the rim type of game. He was going to light them up from three, right, with an inch of space in front of them. So you're absolutely right. This was the Kobe Brown legacy game. I think that's the right thing to call it.
And the one play that I thought was bigger than any of them, though, was he got the ball out on the wing, and he spins, and it's this reverse dunk. Trey Gomillion asked him in the locker room, how would you rate that dunk on a scale of 1 to 10? And Kobe looked at Ben Sternberg, and Sternberg said 23. So it was a 23 on 1 to 10. Look, there were plays all over the place.
I think he turned to the bench in that moment. He said in the press conference, and he yelled at Gates, "I'm here, I'm here." And he really was.
That was after the second three. He said,
yeah. "Okay, that's right." But yeah, I mean, like Kobe Brown arrived right on time to save the day for Mizzou because it wasn't looking good up until that point.
And there you see it: 19, 8 assists, 2 steals, or 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 8 for 9 from the floor, guys. He had I think it was 4 points at halftime because he was 2 for 2 because he wasn't out there. Right? He picked up a defensive foul that he earned and an offensive foul that I don't really know if he earned, but whatever, he got it. Let's talk while we're there. Let's talk about, I thought, Drew, masterful job by Dennis Gates getting to halftime with nobody on his team with 3 fouls.
Yes, because, well, I don't know if it was like Dennis Gates's skill that was able to do that, right? Because he was putting guys out there with 2 fouls, and
Right.
I think it was more on the players recognizing, like, I can't foul in this situation, or I'm gonna have to really sit down and miss a lot of time, because like you saw Kobe Brown go out there with 2 fouls, and he couldn't really defend the rim at all, right? Like guys would get by
He
him.
did have one blocked shot with 2 fouls, though, where I said,
Yeah.
Look, I think it was a clean block. I think it was a good no call. But, man, it was ballsy to make that play with 2 fouls.
Yeah, but I also saw him like just kind of play Olay defense because there wasn't anything else he could really do there. And kind of the same with Sean East, who got a little aggressive trying to get after the steals. I think it was smart to play in a style that limited, somebody from getting 3 fouls. I don't know that I would credit Dennis Gates for all of it though.
Well, not all of it, but some of it. I mean, he was doing some offense defense with Aiden Shaw, who also had 2 fouls. And I have to believe someone on the bench every time before Kobe went back in the game had told him, you can't drive, man. We cannot have you get 3 fouls because we cannot win this game without you. And they couldn't have won the game without him, obviously. And Kobe is going to get the headlines, and he is going to deserve them. Demoy Hodge, phenomenal. I mean, so with 10:45 to go in the second half, I tweeted, it was at that point a tie game. And I tweeted, I said, Missouri needs to run everything through Kobe Brown. In the next 3-ish minutes, Kobe had 12 points, a rebound, and a steal. And then after that 12-0 run, Demoy Hodge scored the next 8 for Missouri. Yeah. I thought, to me, the biggest play of the game was Missouri got the ball out of bounds with like 4.5 seconds left to shoot. And Hodge was inbounding the ball, and Noah Carter was up on the wing. And where you and I were sitting, I'm sure you heard it. Hodge grabs the ball, and he yells, Noah. And Carter looks at him. Yeah, Carter looks at him, and Hodge throws him the ball, cuts baseline, and Carter immediately bounce pass, dunk. I don't remember the exact score at that point, but it like put Missouri from up 6 to up 8 or up 8 to up 10. Like it kind of made you think, okay, I think they're going to get this done. And gigantic play called in game. I asked Hodge and Carter about it, and they both said, we've tried to do that all season long. Like we have that play. We want to run it. It just, we haven't been able to get it. Either it's been covered or Noah hadn't made the pass or whatever, but they got it, and they got it at just the absolute best time.
Yeah, I mean, Demoy was making big play after big play for them. There was a moment in the first half where it was a loose ball. Demoy came out with it. I think it got credited as an offensive rebound, but it kind of should have been a steal, in my opinion. And he drove into Dan Atkin from Utah State. And rather than trying to finish over the top of him, he pitches it to DeAndre Golston, who's underneath the basket with him, and he gets the layup, right? I mean, Demoy was playing on like pure instinct out there. He wasn't thinking about anything. He wasn't thinking about how big the moment was. He was just out there playing ball and whooping Utah State. They didn't have an answer for him.
He was phenomenal. I thought it was his best defensive game. Like he got steals, but he wasn't. It wasn't.
He wasn't Bo Jackson running out of the tunnel.
Yes, he was not Bo Jackson running up the tunnel in Seattle. I mean, it was good defense, and so let's go there. 4 for 23 from Utah State from 3. Now, I don't think any of us would have seen that coming. And look, we talked this morning before we left the hotel, and we said, I think Missouri can win this game without shooting lights out. I don't think Utah State can win this game if they don't shoot well from 3, and that proved to be true. They were 0 for 11 in the first half. I think started 0 for 13. Was that just a bad day, or was that Missouri's defense?
Well, Dennis Gates will tell you that was Missouri's defense.
Demoy Hodge told me it was Missouri's defense.
Yes, but because what they wanted to do was force Utah State to score inside rather than outside because they're not as comfortable putting up points that way. And so Utah State did a good job of adjusting, right? They got to the rim and made their shots in the paint. But yeah, I think that the inability to knock down shots from outside really kind of took them out of sync, especially down the stretch when they needed to rally and weren't able to, which allowed Mizzou to pull away there.
In the game, I just looked this up. Utah State from 2-point range was 24 for 35. That is 70%. I mean, if they stepped inside that 3-point line, they made the shot. So now, look, I'm not going to say that Utah State didn't miss open three. Like they had some clean looks that just didn't go in, right?
Yes.
But I do give Missouri some credit because the game plan clearly was we are going to hound them out there. And if they score 2 at a time, we think we're going to beat them. And that's what happened.
Exactly. Like, and I think they were able to get that high of a percentage from inside because of how much they were sticking to the shooters outside. There wasn't as much help defense coming down whenever somebody got beat off the dribble. And so, yeah, but like you said, that was Missouri's way to win. Like, A, they got to 70 points. The magic number is still alive. And B, they didn't allow Utah State to get to 70 points, which, that's kind of the game plan all year is just to outscore the other team. And Missouri was making threes, Utah was making twos. And that's kind of what the difference was today.
Couple numbers there that jump off to me on this graphic we've got on the screen right now. First of all, Utah State, 15 turnovers. Like, that's not a terrible number against Missouri. You'd like it to be a little better. But what struck me, Drew, they were in bunches. They had 4 in the first 4 before the under 16 timeout when Missouri kind of established, like a 4 to 6 point lead. And then they went through a long stretch, really last 10 minutes of the first half, first 10 minutes of the second half. They took pretty good care of the basketball. And then all of a sudden you had another flurry of, I would be willing to bet 8 or 9 of those turnovers came in about 8 minutes of game time.
Yeah, I think that part of it was Nick Honor too, because I feel like Nick Honor got his hands on the ball in that first play of the game. And then when the turnaround happened in the second half, Nick Honor was the guy being really pesky around Stephen Ashworth. And so let me check to see how many steals he ended up with, because I feel like it was either 3 or 4 here. It was 3 on the day. And so, I think him and Demoy did a really good job on the ball handlers. Utah State was obviously aware that they needed to be, a little bit tighter with it at certain times of the game. But when when it mattered most, Demoy and Nick were able to come up with those turnovers that really impacted the game.
They got credit for 7 of 9 of Missouri's 9 steals. Kobe got the other 2. But here's what box scores don't show. I remember distinctly at least 2 plays where Noah Carter deflected the ball and ended up in a steal. Noah Carter gets no credit for that in the box score, right? Kobe made a play like that. It was a team. I thought this was as well as Missouri has played defensively probably all season.
I can't think of any
against a real team in a game that maybe Illinois.
Yeah, maybe Illinois. I'll have to think a little bit more about it, but this was absolutely a great defensive performance out of them.
And so Man at Arms wants to know, and Drew, you wrote about this last night a little bit, how much credit goes to the assistant coaches and the guys he calls his offensive and defensive coordinators. So you wrote about the staff yesterday, and I think it's important to note the staff here is not just Charlton Young and Dickie Nutt and Kyle Smith-Peters. Kyle Smith-Peters, by the way, has the scout on Arizona, I think you had written.
Yes, that's correct.
And
no, sorry, it's actually CY that has Arizona.
It's CY.
Sharbaugh has Princeton if they end up winning.
Okay, so Arizona's up 10 with 12 minutes left to go. So CY going to earn his money tonight and tomorrow, I would think, in all likelihood. But I mean, that staff does absolutely deserve a decent portion of credit.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Ryan Sharbaugh in the tunnel yesterday, and he was like, I've just been so focused on Utah State's offense and what they do because I have to get them ready for how we're going to approach that defensively. So yeah, Dennis Gates puts a lot of trust in those guys to come up with the game plans, and I thought they had a good one today.
And so along those lines, it's also the players on this team. With about 6 minutes to go, Trey Gomillion, who was, guys, legitimately in tears on the bench in pregame warmups because he knew he couldn't play. Now, whether he knew he couldn't play or he was told he couldn't play, we have no idea really. But you could tell across the court that Trey was in tears and his teammates were coming over and all that. And with about 6 minutes to go, Trey Gomillion got off the bench. And I actually thought, oh my God, Trey's going in the game. He just walked up in full warmups, walked about 15 feet over the Gates and said something to him. And I asked Trey afterwards, like what that exchange was. And he said, I was just trying to make sure Gates was calm. I was just reminding him to keep confidence in our guys. I just wanted to settle him down. Like, the fact that a dude that isn't even in the game is comfortable doing that. Like, I don't want to lean too much into what Dennis says about his players being coaches and this and that, but like, there's truth to it. It's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis called him Coach Gomillion today because, right. and he said that when they made that decision that Trey wasn't going to play today, he told Trey, "I still need you. Like, we still need you to be, in the game and to help as much as you can." Because I think Trey is a player that has a really high basketball IQ, and he's somebody who can galvanize his teammates. And so, Trey absolutely made an impact on the game, even though he wasn't playing. I also want to talk about Aiden Shaw a little bit because he was a part of that run in the second half where Kobe got hot, and he came into the game and actually made eye contact with them. He kind of walked over, and this is his first tournament game. I think he played a little bit in the first half, but not a whole lot, and his team is down, right? And so I'm expecting him to have some kind of jitters or nerves, and he looks so calm. Like, I've never seen somebody so relaxed in that spot. And it really made me think, like, Aiden thinks he belongs out here. Like, he thinks he's really gonna make a big time play, and he did. He absolutely looked like somebody who should belong on the NCAA tournament floor, and he, played some really solid defense for them. I don't think he ended up with a rebound in the second half, at least, but still played with a lot of energy that the team needed in that spot. And so, I think that players all across the board stepped up today. Like, Kobe had his moment, but throughout the game, you had a lot of people, having their shot.
No question. I mean, Nick Honor made a huge shot. Sean East made a huge shot. Dre Golston had a little run there in the second half early. But I'm glad you mentioned Shaw, and I want to address him. I angered a member of the Shaw family on Twitter early in the game. And I kind of want to explain what I mean when I tweeted what I did. So Aiden picked up his second foul with, it was pretty early, like 13, 14 minutes when Missouri went through that run of, they went from 2 fouls to 7 in like 3 seconds. And Aiden picked up his second foul. And I tweeted, I said, Aiden Shaw has 2 fouls. I said, I think Gates is probably going to leave him out there because he's not going to play a ton of minutes anyway. Now, what I meant by that, look, Aiden ended the game with 10 minutes. That is not a ton of minutes. That doesn't mean they are not important minutes. They were very important minutes for Missouri because every minute that he was on the court was a minute that Noah Carter or Kobe Brown got a rest, right? And look, Mohamed Diarra, it was pretty evident. He played 3 first half minutes. It wasn't the right matchup. It wasn't going to work. So they needed Aiden. My only point was, Kobe's got 2 fouls. East has 2 fouls. Shaw has 2 fouls. Somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb that you just say, look, man, you're going to have to play with 2. And if you get 4 in the first half, we just have to live with it. And to me, that was Aiden Shaw, because you can't do that with Kobe. And with Gomillion out, I'm not sure you can do it with East. But you can do it with Aiden Shaw, where you say, look, not that you're unimportant, but like, we need to steal a few minutes. And Aiden Shaw is a 10 to 12 minute a game guy right now. And that, again, those are important minutes. In no way was that meant as an insult.
Right. And especially, like you said, Trey is out. Ronnie DeGray warmed up but didn't play. So if not Aiden, like, you're looking
DeArmond wasn't playing today. Yeah.
I mean, you were potentially going to look at Mabor Majak coming on the floor. So, I think that Aiden knows what his role is right now. It's not necessarily a big minutes getter, but I think he absolutely did make an impact with the minutes that he was out there, for sure.
Totally agree with that. And, you mentioned everybody, and Danny's lemon drop brings up a good point. From a non-basketball perspective, this team is so likable, so many great personalities. And I want you guys we've got 5 video interviews from the locker room up on our front page right now. We talked to Hodge and Kobe and Nick Honor, Noah Carter, and Sean East, I think, are the other ones there. We talked to every player, I think, on the roster, like legitimately every player on the roster, pretty much. But those are the 5 we have up on video. It really, it's an easy team to root for, Drew.
Yeah, well, because a lot of them, were so overlooked coming to Missouri, right? Like Kobe Brown was a 3-star. Demoy, Trey Gomillion, JUCO guys. DeAndre Golston came from Milwaukee, who and had never made an NCAA tournament before. Same with Noah Carter at Northern Iowa, right? So these are guys who were not supposed to, or people didn't think that they were supposed to.
Nobody told them they're not supposed to be this good.
Yes, and it turns out they are, right? They're now one of the top 32 teams in the country with a chance to make it to the Sweet 16. So, it's a team that is full of misfit toys that has, really made something of itself, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm amazed it took 24 minutes for someone to make a comment about the unmade bed in the background. Look, guys, it's the freaking Holiday Inn in Sacramento. We are we ran back over from the arena to do the live show, but it's cool. I get what you're saying. I know that you said Dennis Gates, Drew, took a little shot, right, at nobody has believed in us, and yes. I don't even hold that against him. This team is allowed to do that. They have earned it because I think he's right.
Right. And I think he was exaggerating a little bit when he said nobody believed in us. Right. But there were absolutely a lot of people who did doubt this team and did doubt whether they could come out with a win over Utah State specifically. So I do get he definitely feels vindicated with this win. Talking to him after the game, he said he cried. And DeAndre Golston said it's the first time he's ever seen Dennis Gates cry. And it's because his old college coach, Ben Braun, was in attendance and a bunch of his former teammates were there. This win made a lot to Dennis.
I mean, if Dennis Gates cries, dude, when robots cry, that could create rust. I mean, that might be a problem. I don't know if Dennis like the Tin Man, dude. He's got to get some more oil. And I say that I say that because I've written, if he wore a Fitbit during games, it would be a straight line, right? That's a joke of it, but he is so even keel, so robotic. And I think now, see, if Dennis was just, if he was saying nobody believed we would win this game today, I'm going to disagree with that. I mean, look, I had people ask me this morning. I said, I think they win by 10 because I don't think Utah State can guard Kobe and Noah Carter. And so there were people, I saw plenty of people pick them today. Jay Wright's picked them to the Sweet 16, But if his larger point is nobody believed we could be here, he's 100%. There's not one person in America who thought this team would be 25-9 and in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Not one.
Yeah, no. I don't think there is one.
I mean, not outside that locker room.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. They just turned on the TV next to me.
Yeah. Princeton back within 6. That game is not over. So it's pretty interesting. Drew and I really wanted to hang out over at the Golden One Center and watch the second half of this one, but figured we should show up. And so there's the halftime score, which was what it was when we started. Arizona's now up 51-45. Princeton 51-48. Arizona with 6.5 minutes to go. And look, I understand why all Missouri fans want Princeton to win, and I think you should want Princeton to win. Princeton is an easier matchup. But we are now at the point, if you play Thursday, after Thursday, or for the teams that play Friday, after Friday, every game the rest of the way, you are playing somebody who has earned their way there and is a good basketball team. after round one, seeds do not matter to me at all. Like Princeton might be a 15 seed, but if they beat Arizona, they can 100% come out and beat you on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's also March too, right? Like March is gonna March. We're gonna have these double-digit seeds make a run to the Sweet 16. There's always one of them, so it very well could be Princeton.
Yeah, but look, if you are a Missouri fan, yes, root for Princeton for the next 6.5 minutes. I don't think there's any question about it. So 2010, Drew, how old were you? God, this is going to piss me off, but go ahead and answer it.
I was 14 in 2010.
You were 14 in Tyler, Texas, playing Pee Wee hoops against Patrick Mahomes or something like that, right?
Yeah, that probably would have been the last time I played Patrick, if that was when I was playing.
Point being,
yes, that's correct.
Is that so? We some of us were kind of having some fun in the locker room, asking guys like, you know, where were you 13 years ago? Do you know why that matters? And a few of them, like Trey Golston said, that was the last time we won a game, right? And I asked Nick Honor, I said, you know, how old were you? And I said, do you know why 2010 matters? He said, I have no idea. I said, it was the last time Missouri won a tournament game, and he just laughed. You know, and it really, I talked to Phil Pressey, who is an assistant, a GA on this team. Yeah, I said, you would have been a freshman the last time Missouri won a tournament game, right? Phil said, no, we lost in the first round all 3 of my years. He was a senior in high school the last time Missouri won a tournament game. Like, this is a huge deal, guys. I mean, like, I now have to come up with something. The quote of the day was from Aiden Shaw. Vahe Gregorian was asking him, and he said, you know, it's been 4,746 days since Missouri had won a tournament game. And Aiden said, 0 days now. You know, like we started over. We start the countdown over. It would have been a good year had they gotten beat today. It is now not one person can have one issue with this season. I do not care if they lose to Arizona on Saturday. I do not care if they lose to Princeton. Whatever happens from here on out, this season is unassailably like huge success.
Yeah, like we said yesterday, it's the punctuation mark that the season needed, right? There's a period on the end of the sentence now that Mizzou had a good season, period. So yeah, like you're right. No matter what happens tomorrow, like this season was a complete success, right? In every aspect, because I mean, like non-conference, they did everything they were supposed to. SEC, they overachieved, moved up from 11th to 4th. SEC tournament, got a win there over a Tennessee team, and now they've won on the biggest stage in college basketball. So they've just won at every level, Gabe. Like that's kind of the takeaway for me from today, was just like they have won at every single point along the season.
They were picked 11th in the SEC. They are now, without question, one of the 32 best basketball teams in America. You know, pretty impressive, no question about it. So I had seen a comment earlier, and it's probably well in the past. I doubt Alex can find it, but somebody had asked about the fouls and the officiating. So one of the numbers, Alex, if you can put up that box score graphic again, one of the numbers that jumped out to me is Utah State was 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Utah State was 5 of 8 from the free throw line with about 4 minutes left in the first half. They didn't shoot a free throw in the second half. Yeah. Missouri never got to the bonus. Utah State never got to the bonus in the second half. Missouri could have shot free throws better, 12 for 18. I thought the Kobe charge was bad. I thought the Sean East charge was horrendous in the second half. But like overall, I mean, these things even out. Can we talk about Utah State picking up a technical?
We can. I'll say this.
I mean, that kid, first of all, it was a player. It was not a coach.
Yes.
It was a player on the Utah State bench. I would love to know what he said, because that ref did not hesitate.
No, he didn't. And maybe it was that he had said something every time down the floor. But I did think the game was kind of weirdly officiated, right? Because early on they were calling everything a charge, right? And,
Right.
and then it kind of flipped at some point, and they stopped calling anything after that. So,
And here is what you find. Here's what I've always found in the NCAA tournament. Like sometimes in the first half, there might be some whistles, and kudos to Alex for finding that comment from Andy Becker and putting it up there. Sometimes you do see some whistles in the first half, but by and large, these officials in the second half are going to let the players decide the game. NCAA tournament games are called differently than regular season games. And if anything, I thought Missouri got the benefit of a whistle in the second half. And I thought it was pretty well officiated. They were pretty consistent in the second half. But if anything, I thought it helped Missouri. I mean, Nick Honor threw a dude on the floor and didn't get called for a charge. There were a couple of defensive plays that I thought could have been called. But overall, I thought, I mean, yes, the Kobe charge, I can nitpick that. The Sean East charge I thought was bad. But, there was another one where Chris from the Tribune and I were sitting next to each other. We clearly thought Kobe got away with a hook. And they didn't call that, so those things are going to even out over the course of the game. Want to thank Rich Ramsey tossing us a little super chat.
Shouts to Rich.
Waitress, that's appropriate with Drew being in the hotel bar right now. And I should have said at some point, hit the like button, subscribe to all the things that help us out, guys. We're doing these pretty much every day during the postseason when Missouri's playing, and we do appreciate it and appreciate the support from James Carlton, but also from you guys. So yeah, I think second half, like we've said all year, Drew, the fewer fouls the officials call, the better it is for Missouri. And it came through.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, Dan Akin was pretty upset on some of those calls. I was kind of surprised he wasn't the one who got the tag, because he definitely felt like there was an equal amount of contact between him and Kobe, but he was not getting the same amount of calls that Kobe did.
I tell you what we could do right now. I would get thrown in NCAA jail, and we could never do, and YouTube jail, but I could just turn my camera toward my TV with the Princeton game and everybody could watch it. But no, I think we'll get in trouble with that. It is 55-52 Arizona, 3:59 to go. As Missouri went. So somebody had asked about potential game times, and we're not going to know that. They're not going to set those until the Thursday games are done. So, we're probably not going to find out till, 10, 11 o'clock tonight, I think, when Missouri will play. And I think it's dependent on who they'll play, because I think a Missouri-Arizona game is in a better time slot than a Missouri-Princeton game.
Yes, I agree. Gabe, they're telling me that they're about to vacuum in the bar, so I think we got to wrap it up pretty soon here.
Okay, we will wrap it up. Just real quick, Drew, let the people know kind of what you're writing.
Yeah, so mainly about Kobe, the just how he was kind of the difference maker today. Obviously, Dennis Gates, it was a really meaningful game for him as well. And so I'll have that up pretty soon here, so be on the lookout for that.
All right, so Drew's got that. I'm going to write a story just kind of about this team and how, of course, this team won this game because this team has won this game all season long. Drew, I'm going to go ahead and take you out of the screen and let you go so the vacuum doesn't come over. Appreciate you joining us. Drew, going to get to work on the site. I'm going to hang out with you guys for just a couple minutes and wrap it up. But I'm going to write a little bit about this team. And somebody made the comparison. I think it was last week after the Tennessee game in the SEC tournament. Somebody said this team can be Missouri's version of Kentucky's Unforgettables. And that was the team that, brought them back from probation and pushed Duke and Leitner to the brink and all that. And that team became known. It was loved day one, right? They got to an Elite Eight. That team was absolutely loved. But why they were really, truly loved is because that program went on and Rick Pitino won a title and Tubby Smith won a title and Kentucky was back. And that was the first day everybody knew Kentucky was back. So part of it certainly is going to be what happens going forward. But part of it also, guys, this program is back today. It is back now. It is not going to be back next year. It is not going to be back in 2 years. It is back in the NCAA tournament and a winner with a guy that's going to go down as one of the best Missouri basketball players in the last 15 years or so. In Kobe, look, I love Kobe Brown. I'm not going to put him in the Melvin Booker, Anthony Peeler, Doug Smith type conversation. That's not a thing. But he is going to go down as the face of this particular revival of Missouri basketball. And that matters. And D'Moy Hodge is going to go down with Cassius Robertson and Alex Oriaki and all, maybe the best all-time one-year player Missouri's had, right? And Noah Carter and Sean Easton, Nick Honor, and Dre Golston all have a chance to kind of join that conversation and be in that group. And Aiden Shaw and all these guys, 10 years from now, if Missouri is what you want it to be, and if Dennis Gates is what you want him to be, this is the team you're going to remember. This is the one you're going to look at and say, that's when it started. And this day in Sacramento is when it started. Because, yes, it was all season long. And yes, it would have been a great year and a fun year anyway. But this changes everything. They have won an NCAA tournament game. They're one of 32 teams that still has a chance to do what Dennis Gates has talked about all year, and that is cut down nets on April 3rd. And is it likely? Of course it's not likely. It's not likely for anybody. But they've got a chance. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. These shows – I really feel like some of these shows could last so long. I mean, we could go on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, take your guys' comments and all that. But Drew has stories to write. I've got stories to write. We're going to have media days tomorrow with Missouri and either Princeton or Arizona. Arizona, a 1-point lead with 2:50 to go right now. So we got a lot of stuff coming. We've got video on the site. We've got the full transcript of the press conference with Dennis Gates, Kobe Brown, and D'Moy Hodge. Drew's got a story coming. I got a story coming. All kinds of stuff, guys. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Appreciate James Carlton Insurance for being our sponsor all season long. CarltonInsurance.net, 314-961-4800, Facebook.com/Carlton Insurance. Get in touch with James. Get a quote from him. He's going to save you money on insurance. He's going to donate $20 to Mizzou's NIL Collective if you get that quote. Everybody wins. Want to thank Drew for hanging out. Want to thank Alex Stenman, our producer behind the scenes. I think these shows look a lot cooler when you guys got some graphics and some things to look at other than my unmade bed and Drew and his lady in the business center and all that. So appreciate everything Alex is doing for us on real short notice here in the postseason. And guys, before you leave, like button, subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, share it on social media, say good things. We may be back tomorrow. I don't really know. We'll definitely be back Saturday. We will have coverage tomorrow regardless. Thanks, y'all. Second round awaits. Talk to you next time.